Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first proper Smalltalk episode of 2025. I'm one third of your co-host. My name is Ryan Cam. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We are not knee deep, but ankle deep into season nine, and I can describe all three of these episodes into one package as solid base hit. But we'll get into all of that and more. But first, I have to introduce my co-hosts. First, from 3D Movie Cinema, it's Jacob Collins, who is currently doing Blue Steel at the moment.
I'm just trying to be really, really ridiculously good looking, but
Doing a
yeah,
Zoolander thing.
yeah, Zoo. And some the sad thing is a lot of people don't realize when people do that, they're like, why is he smoldering? I'm like, he's not smoldering, it's blue steel. It's blue. But yeah. I really like these three episodes. We were off cam, we were talking about these three episodes feel like Terminator, 28 Days Later, and Phone Booth, which is a very vastly different series of movies. The Smallville took a weird turn this week. And we're like, you know what? Our first episode is like basically Iron Man and meets the Terminator. And then the next episode is like 28 Days Later with Resident Evil references in it. And then the last episode's Phone Booth with ESP, which is even weirder. But I'm like, every episode has a weird, like, have you noticed that every episode literally has, with the exception of the first episode, which is Metallo, I would say this every episode has a weird subplot in this, always has like the first episode, and which I actually really enjoy this episode. I really enjoy all three of these episodes, except for I would say my least favorite is the
The
last
Brad,
one.
you mean the third one?
Yeah.
I think the weakest one was the
Only
Rabbit
because the
episode.
ESP aspect, the ESP was, I'm like, all right, Clark had, it feels like that feels like the cliche thing the showrunners used to do, where like, okay, how do we Clark? It's like the idea of Clark turning into a dog. Like Clark turns into a dog this week, kind of like the filler. Like, okay, this is the filler episode where it's like Clark gets ESP this week, and I just felt like that was the only thing I felt was kind of dumb. I'm like, okay, like because the first step, look, I will say I was ready to dog on the zombie episode, but then I'm like, it was actually pretty scary. I'm like, that was pretty cool. I'm like, all right, like it. Look, it's ridiculous how it starts, ridiculous, but it's very like like I remember reading the subplot of this episode of Epic Rabbit. I'm like, okay, that's gonna sound stupid, but then you see it, you're like, it's not bad. But yeah, this first episode though, wasn't me, or do you guys feel like John Corbin felt like he should have been like in longer before he became Metallo? Do you guys feel like they should have spread this out some before like just
I do agree. I think
making
they
him
did it. I
Metallo?
think they did it a little bit too soon because like we just introduced John Corbin in the first episode, and yet now they're ready just to jump right into his transformation of becoming a human kryptonite cyborg as Metallo, which was kind of a little bit too soon and very convenient.
Yeah, and
Well,
ironically, Supergirl did the exact same thing back on their season two of Supergirl, where they introduced Metallo in episode one,
They did.
episode two, they make it metallic.
That's
I'm
when
like,
that's
what
that's
is
when they
happening?
put that's when they first put Tyler Hoechlin as Superman in the first two
Yeah,
episodes.
Matt Wyatt, I was going to introduce him, but he has made his presence very well known. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a while since we've done small talk, so yeah, I'm ready to get back on with doing these three episodes since Jake has mentioned that there's been three blockbuster hauls, or at least four or five of them, and all in three episodes.
Oh,
Yeah.
next week. I can't wait till we talk about next week. Next week, there is an episode that it reminds me of the David Fincher's The Game.
Mm. I still have not watched the game yet. I gotta watch that movie.
Well, before we went live, we were like Matt was thinking like we were like tapping out and like done with the show or something to that effect. But I'm here to say to my fellow viewers, we don't give up. We set more things on fire. So let's jump into
The show
season
the
nine.
show must go on.
In the words of Freddie Mercury, yes. But let us get going into season nine proper. This is season nine, episode two, called Metallo.
He's not a cop, he's a vigilante, and I'm gonna expose him.
I classify him as a cyborg.
My sister's dead because of you.
I would never kill anyone.
Now I'm gonna show you what it feels like to lose somebody you love.
Smallville. All new episode on its new night, next Friday at 8/7 Central.
After being hit by a truck John Corbin becomes a human guinea pig when his heart is replaced by a machine powered by meteor rocks, which in turn gives him extraordinary strength, and he realizes he can use it to catch his prey, the red and blue blur. So Iron Man called, he wants his origin story back.
I'm just laughing because how stupid it was. Yeah, he gets hit he gets picture flies, he gets hit by a silent. I'm like, he didn't see that. It's like Final Destination where it just came a silent vehicle, just came out of nowhere. Just
Remember that reunion episode? Remember that reunion episode with Lex and his best buddy got ran over by a car,
Yeah.
just
Gotta
out of
watch out
nowhere
for
in
those
a fucking
cars in
small street.
Smallville, Metropolis. They're very silent. Elon Musk called and he wants his cars back. They're so silent they just hit you.
They're driving on the side street in silence, and it was very fast moving fucking vehicle that just smashed right in front of them. That was so convenient
And then he
timing.
drives away. Like you've never seen
A hit and run.
I'm like, no one saw this.
Got
No one but Zod
roadkill.
people saw this.
And he
No
was
one but
still
Zod
alive while he was fucking bleeding to death while he was just could not move his body. That's felt a little bit of a horror.
I will say I really like his origins though. Like he's laying there dead, he wakes up and it's like a horror film. It almost, you know what, reminded me of Terminator Salvation somewhat because Marcus, right? How
Yeah. Well,
whenever he
Salvation.
becomes whenever he becomes like, he's like, I am human. He goes, you think you're human? I am.
You think you're human?
And,
I'm Batman.
and then just like I like that. I like Terminator Salvation. This movie reminded me so much. This scene reminded me of Terminator Salvation. Which,
Because that this
2009.
episode aired. Yeah, it had to be 2009 because Salvation came out in the summer of 2009.
This came out. So this would be what? So this would be like the fall of 2009.
They probably took notes when they watched the promos and the trailers, and because pretty much they gave away the whole goddamn plot point of that movie. So I
They've
think
done that, by the way. They've done that with 2 Terminator films. Literally,
Yeah.
that and Genesis. They did that where they gave away. I'm like, why would you give away the big plot of the freaking movie?
Yeah, that's just stupid. It makes
Makes
no
no
sense.
sense.
Honestly,
Do you have any idea? They put out an 8-minute fucking footage and plus the trailer for Salvation. I remember when they put that promo like exclusively on DirecTV and they showed it 8-minute, one with half of the footage and one with the full fucking trailer extended version.
honestly, I was just going to say, like, Terminator Gen is shit is like the bottom of the barrel for Terminator content. Dark Fate was just wearing the Terminator skin suit, like Weekend at Bernie's style. But we could do a whole separate
James
thing.
James Cameron praised Genesis.
Genesis. I call it Genesis because it has a
You know what the
fucking
funny
Y in
part
that
is though?
title.
The only movie he said he does not like out of all the Terminator movies is Part 3.
He
said
did not. He
hated Part
disliked 3. Yeah, I've heard he hated Part 3.
He said it's just my movie, Part 2, except with a female Terminator and a different ending.
I do agree because I thought that Terminator 3, I liked parts of it, but it didn't really add anything new. And also, it almost looked like it was shot. It looked like it was just shot for made for TV movie and in a high budget film.
Say what you will about Salvation, Genesis, and Dark Fate, but at least they tried something different.
And failed so
miserably.
Failed so miserably.
You know what? The only thing James Cameron did like, he said his favorite one out of all the Terminator movies he didn't make was Salvation. He said because he liked it so much, the pitch, that he actually told McG that he said, you need to do 2 things. Make them read this book that he said, and then a certain book called like The Road or something like that he told him to read. And then the second thing was he said he wants him to hire Sam Worthington because he just worked with him on Avatar, to hire him for Terminator Salvation because they were looking for Josh Brolin.
Yeah, because they shot
so
the first Avatar movie on set like back in 2005, and it took them years to get this whole technology going with the visual effects. So yeah, he worked with them years ago, and he's like, dude, he hired Sam Worthington and even though that this movie's coming out in the same year as Avatar, yeah, they want him because Hollywood wanted him to make him more of a action movie star at the time.
I mean, which makes I will say this. Look, regardless how you feel about him as a director, out of all the Terminator movies, besides no defense to Tim Miller, I think McG had the best direction approach.
I mean, you had a great idea for Salvation. I just wish that he could have. This movie could have been.
It was the
better.
story that was the problem, not the direction. The direction was actually pretty on par. Which I think that's like, McG was a great director. I mean, in this movie, I mean, that's the sad thing. The sad thing is McG, the director of Charlie's Angels and The Babysitter, had a better director than compared to the other directors that
I
tried.
could have
Not
sworn
James
that
Cameron,
McGee
included.
was like labeled as an executive producer on Supernatural as an executive producer in the show.
I mean, he's not a bad director. I think a lot of people give him shit because a lot of his movies are shit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm
well,
sure I'm
I will
sure
say,
correlation has nothing to do with that. But
I love how you just started off with this
did you like the?
synopsis
Did you like
saying after getting hit by by a bus. I was like, damn, dude.
I mean, IMDb does not
It's
hold
like
back.
at least with Supergirl, at least in Supergirl, Supergirl like he's like on like he's like fighting in like a plane or something like in like a machine robot or something, and
Yeah,
then
it was
like
a
they
drone.
destroy
It
the
was just a
robot and they stick
freaking drone. It was two drones. Yeah.
yeah. At least that made sense
Well, I kind
compared to
of
this where
like
he's
his
like he gets hit
backstory
by
a
a
little bit
bus.
more. At least he has more
Oh yeah,
complex, and he blames the blur for not saving his own sister from a murderous bastard that he saved a bunch of prison bus, and then one of them got freed, and he was a serial killer, killed John Corbin's sister, and he holds him responsible for it. And I thought that was a really a better backstory for John Corbin compared to what we see in Supergirl, because this dude was just more of a fucking henchman. He was just not, there's no depth to that character, but this one I liked his backstory better.
oh yeah, I agree. I would you know what? I will say if Sam Raimi like if they ever decide if like for instance if James Gunn, I hope this Superman does well, but I'm saying if it doesn't do
Yeah.
well in 20 years from now, Sam Raimi decides to reboot Superman, and I could see him doing the Spider-Man 2 of that to Metallo because you just make the Metallo a scientist and then he's basically Doc Ock. You know, where he basically wakes up with a heart in his chest and he's a robot in this form and he has to become an evil monster to try to fix himself. I mean, I think it's happening. You know,
I
I
mean, I
could
don't
literally
see Sam
see.
Raimi directing any DC movie with DC.
Yeah,
He kind of goes a little bit, he kind of leans more towards the Marvel era because he directed the latest like Multiverse of Madness, which that movie was a little divisive and became controversial that not everybody liked.
I mean,
yeah, which I don't blame
Wes
him. I
Which
think
if
it's
he
orchestrated.
directed if he directed the new Spider-Man movie, I would everybody will be on board for
Yeah,
that for sure.
I mean, Wes Craven directed a
but
Swamp Thing
let me
movie
ask you
once
this:
upon a time, so it's not too
Oh,
far
he
we don't
beyond.
did.
talk
Oh,
about that
really?
movie. We don't talk about Swamp Thing. We don't talk about that.
I didn't see the original Swamp Thing movie, and I know they did a DC show for a DC Universe
That was
streaming
great.
service for
That was
Swamp Thing that,
fantastic.
and they literally canceled it before that show even came
Do you know
on.
why they
That
canceled
first
it? Was do you know why they
episode.
canceled it? Because they want to pay taxes on the freaking lot to hold keep their to pay the taxes on holding the production there. Because they were like they have to store it for a year, and they're like, we're not paying that. Fuck that.
But now James Mangold is doing a Swamp Thing movie, and he wants to be a little bit more of a gothic horror film that is that stands on its own. Which it's not very clarified if this is actually a DCU movie or it's just outside of it. Which my guess is it is, but it's just going to be a stand on its own for the what James Mangold's going to do.
Do you know what I really liked? I liked Clark when Clark's feeding the dog like how Lois shows up and the dog's there, and then all of a sudden the food's there. Then he shows up to feed the dog later, and then Chloe confronts him like he's like, "If I was Lois," I thought that was a great scene where she goes, "If I was Lois, I would have figured it out." Because you just he really just shows up in a Superman
Yeah, he
outfit, which
shows up. He just walks right in the door with his fucking suit on, while Lois could have been in there and caught him in the act.
and Lois kidnaps his dog. By the way, I just want to point that out. She
Yeah, she
dog eats him.
kidnaps fucking Shelby, his own dog.
So you know, I like that Metallo's taking Lois. I thought that was really great. You know, that to me was pretty cool. And I like Corbin's backstory and everything. And you know, I thought, you know, I thought that was really cool. Clark Metallo taking Lois. I thought that was really
Just the
cool and
lure,
everything.
because he knows he's been keeping contact with the blur, and he figures that she knows where to find him.
Yeah. But
I
it
like
makes no
that part.
sense though. I also like when he attacks the hospital, like where she's like, my heart.
Oh yeah, he's losing his mind because he's his adrenaline's rushing. The kryptonite is just messing with his brain, and that it is poisoning his mind, and his own little agenda vengeance thing. It just really took a lot on him, and it just made him fucking nuts. And I love that.
My favorite part of this episode was the end where Clark and Metallo fight, and then just one of the best endings of this, and like ending of an individual episode of this entire show, where it's like Clark basically pulls a Back to the Future Part 3, has a lead plate, and
He
like just
tricks
like
him.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, when he pulls that lead plate and uses his heat vision and just pulls the lead plate on his chest to block out the kryptonite near him.
He tricks Metallo into killing himself, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
he
was the crazy part. And
another he inadvertently killed him or
Hold on.
killed himself.
He did tell him, no, don't. But I'm like, you did not tell him why. Don't do it because you know it's like the second blood. It's gonna rip his shit. It's gonna rip it off.
He's like Arnold from Last Action Hero. Don't touch.
Clark was secretly
which I mean,
Clark
which
was
is awesome.
Clark was gaslighting Metallo though. He was like, no,
Yeah.
don't do that.
No.
But secretly in his head, he was like, good, good.
It's almost like the Willy Wonka. Remember with the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, how like they're like when all the kids are doing something and they're
Oh
like,
yeah,
"What are
stop,
you
don't.
gonna?" He's like, "Yeah,
No,
stop,
stop, don't come
no."
back.
Yeah, when Violet was chewing the gum, and he's like, "Oh, stop, don't, stop,
Like he's just
murder,"
watching, secretly, just like, "Yes, eat the gum. I want to see. I want to
and
test
and
this
just watch
theory."
the Oompa Loompa come out of the fucking hallway, and just like Oompa Loompa Doopa Dee Dum.
I was waiting
I've
for
got
that, like
another
Metallo to
puzzle
be like,
for
"Ooh,
you.
ooh,
You know,
Loompa,
kryptonite
John
just
Corbin
poisoned
said,
your mind. You should
John
not
Corbin
pull the lead out."
was." Maybe John Corbin should have watched the streets.
Bum bum.
Then he would like the Terminator. Boom.
He should look both ways.
He should have listened to the Wiggle song. Stop at the light, look both ways.
The Wiggles in
Yeah, like that
2025.
Wiggle song.
That's the level of
Stop
references
at
that
the light,
Small
look
Talk is
both
bringing
ways,
you. The
look both
freaking
ways.
Wiggles.
I still use that song because I grew up with that with my niece and sister. I grew up, I watch, listen to that every time I cross her. I still sing it in my head like, "Stop at the light, look both ways, look both ways, and cross the
That's what John Corbin
road
should
again."
listen to. He should
I
have
don't know.
listened
I
to
just
that song.
I'm
the
not gonna
Wiggles would have
lie.
saved his life. I'm just saying.
I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I still like when I'm deciding something, go like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe if he
And
hollers,
also,
let him.
what the fuck was that trucker doing when he's not looking where he's driving? Did he pull that Zack Snyder's Just League in the scene with the flash scene when he just grabbed his burger from the under the fucking hood of this fucking truck when he drops the fucking burger?
The thing with you know the thing you know the thing that made me kind of crazy. Like, why does he have an E layer? Like, like it's like an old factory. Like
He
he
bought
literally
he
just.
bought the goddamn factory
I'm like, why
and
would
puts a
like?
bunch of newspaper articles of the Blur save. Obsessed with them.
Correct me if
I
I'm
was
wrong, but
like,
I'm
that
pretty
makes no
sure the
sense to me.
Metallo's hangout is pretty much the same place where Lana was doing like her like Rocky 4 training, like in that same place with that
Oh yeah,
exact same furnace. The only thing missing
yeah. It
was
feels like
there
it was
was
the same. It looked like the same set. It looks like the same set from the last season. It looked like they reused that
Clark,
same set.
they probably did. Clark. The funny part is like, and then like Lois doesn't like Lois doesn't see like Clark's face at the end whenever like like she's like within distance, like she's not that far away from Clark. At the end when she sees like he's in the shadows, well, you can see his face clearly. I can see his face.
She must be. This bitch is blind as a bat.
I'm like, I can see it. I'm like, that's Clark. She should be like, Clark? Clark? Is
I
that
would be
you?
able to. How
No.
can we as viewers be able to see the shadow from his face and she couldn't? You're literally not that far distance from him.
Well, to be fair, I'm watching it on a 4K TV, so I mean, but then like, maybe
Yeah,
this
we're
is.
watching in a high resolution TV that we calibrated on the brightness.
I mean, also, yeah, but also, I mean, but I'm just saying that made me like, all right, come on, like, come on.
Like, dude, just fucking tell her already. It's so frustrating. Just
I
tell
do
her.
like, I do like Tessa's stuff in this episode where she's tracking like Zod's people.
Yeah, the
And,
Kandorians.
yeah, and at the end, how she sees like all the symbols, and then she sees like a Superman symbol at the end, and a man laying in it.
Yeah, who was
Brian, I can't
who do you
say,
think
but who do you think that is?
who do you think that is?
the man lying on the symbol.
Yeah, because there were symbols all over the world when Zod arrived in the Kandorians from the orb, and their symbols get like burnt from in the middle of the field, and one of them had the S shield, which is the House of El. So who do you think that man was laying in the middle of the field?
I don't know. Like, did Superman have a brother that I'm not aware of?
I can
He's
neither
never
confirm
gonna
or
figure it
deny.
out, man.
You're gonna have to figure that out.
All right, well, I'll figure it out on my own. But
But also the experiment with the John Corbin with the kryptonite chest, apparently the Kandorians were responsible for that experiment. It was more of like like a test run.
They're one step closer to getting their powers. I love that line.
Dun dun dun.
Almost there.
And then Brian, do you keep loving these flashbacks though? They keep showing like the future flashes forwards or whatever.
I'm liking it. Like I said, these episodes are solid, but I'm appreciating the fact that the season, for the most part, is like mostly keeping one main story in focus, and they're just building it a little bit over time. That's what they used to do. Season 8, like it was just all over the place, but I feel like now they're going back to that. So I
It
appreciate.
seems to me it seems to me that these filler episodes and with these three, they're all connected to what the Kandorians and Zod are up to. They feel like they're in the background, and most stuff will get revealed. I like the part one. It's just not like a pointless filler with these episodes. I want them to be tied into what's going to be in the main story.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about the last episode was the fact is that the Clark with ESP. If it would have had a more interesting idea about like if like for instance if the whole episode was about Toyman putting more people in terror in like hostage situations, and Clark's trying to find all these hostages to be Oliver to be the final hostage, that would have made me love the episode more. I probably would have made it the best episode of the three. But the thing that's the only thing that irked me was the fact is that you have this really cool opening, and then it just like feels like that was the whole point was okay, now Clark has telekinesis, now we're having fun with Clark the whole episode. Like it felt like two different episodes they just merged into one. It felt like they had a really cool idea for the first half, and they're like, we have this episode where Clark's going to have ESP, and we have an episode where Toyman returns, who basically becomes like he is basically a hostage situation, and it becomes like phone. They would cut the middleman and just make it one episode. And you're like, are you sure about that? Yes. I'm like, you don't think people are gonna find it a little dumb? Like, like no one's gonna. You know what? As long as we have make it the Toy Man part really good, people are gonna forget about the ESP part. I'm like, that's my only issue with the last. But I think all three of these are bangers. I mean, it's not like it's a product placement. It's not like Clark has an iPhone and it's like I have to use my
I had to use my BlackBerry
iPhone to stop this
or BlackBerry or
Blackberries.
Blackberries because right now they have flip phones. They didn't have smartphones yet, not yet.
Which,
Well,
by the way, I really do appreciate the Metallo episode, and I like how like I honestly think they should have made action figures for that villain because
I mean,
it would have
that
sold
would have
really
been
well. I mean,
cool.
I remember I had that picture downloaded.
I was just saying that would have been cool if they had an action figure.
It looks cool. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, even if like for something like, look, people could shit on like some of the designs of the villains. I will say Metallo is really good design. I mean, that is a great design. I mean, it's pretty comic book accurate too. Obviously, it could make him like a full left robot looking because like or
It would have
would
been
probably look too
the
much
effects
like
would have been way too campy, and they didn't have the effects for on a TV budget.
it looks. Oh, I will defend. It looks better than Supergirl's Metallo. But Supergirl's Metallo just looks fake.
Yeah, it did. It looked awful.
Yeah, compared to
But
this
also
one, which looks
that
better.
when I said earlier that this version of John Corbin from Supergirl was just a fucking like Lex Luthor's mom's henchman. He was a
Yeah.
generic character.
Pretty
And also
much.
you have a better backstory because the writing is better, even if like
You have
that's the
better
thing.
writing of the backstory, and that's what they got right with
And
Smallville is that they got
and
a
the show
better
didn't rely
complex
heavily on
backstory.
visual effects compared to Supergirl, which relies more on visual
It
effects.
was more on spectacle. They did too much spectacle over character development,
Yes, and I think that's true. I 100%
which I don't mind having a
agree with
great
that.
showdown. And apparently they didn't have the budget to go to do the fist fights for the budget back then. I'm pretty sure they would have done a better job doing it today than they did years ago. But if you add a better complex backstory with the villain, then it makes the fight and the showdown more impactful instead of just, oh hey, let's have the CW do spectacle over characters doing generic shit. Who cares?
Yeah.
People will watch that.
Do you think he'll come back or no, Brian?
Considering the fact that he was taken out so quickly, I want to say no, but there's a part of me that also wants to lean towards yes. So, you know what? I'm going to be bold. I'll say yes, he's going to come back. As far as this episode goes, let's go to ratings. Collins, 1 to 10.
I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow,
Okay.
you really enjoyed this episode that much.
Oh, yeah. I love that character, and it was the first. This
Oh.
was the first. Or, I mean, this wasn't technically. I mean, he appeared in Superman. I mean, Lois and Clark, the Adventures of Superman. But I'm saying this was the one that it felt comic accurate, and it wasn't cheesy, and it had a great story, and I was really hyped. The first 2 episodes went out with a banger. I mean, even though I do kind of wish they would have did like 5 or 6 episodes with him before, but it's fine. I think this works.
All right, Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I wish they would have like I agree with you that I wish they would have like stretched out John Corbin's character a little bit more and not just simply, okay, we introduce him and then now we just jump right into the transformation of Metallo. The showdown was kind of a little too short, even though I loved a lot of his backstory, and I hope that one day that we will see more of him in the future. But yeah, this is a really another good episode since episode 1. I still think the first episode was a better episode.
Well, I'm going to go 8.5. I really did like this. And like I said, all these episodes are really solid. And this was certainly one of them. The ending, though, might be one of my favorite endings of any episode of Smallville. But if we ever do like a favorite endings like episode of this, then we'll cross that bridge again. But let us keep going. This is season 9, episode 3, called Rapid.
I was hoping that we could grab something to eat tonight. Not that I'm saying we should go on a date.
Kneel before sword.
Toyman's back.
Just something like a date.
Smallville, all new episode on its new night, next Friday at 8/7 Central.
Clark unknowingly exposes himself to Zod when a virus is released on Metropolis that turns its residents into zombies. So we have been going back and forth before recording this, either Resident Evil or 28 Days Later. I leave it up to you, the fair viewers, in the comments. Is this episode more like 28 Days Later or Resident Evil? I think more Resident Evil for me personally because, I mean, Oliver literally directly references it. So, like,
He did. He title dropped that shit.
tip the hand right there, but I could see a 28 Days Later like reference thrown in there as well. So it could go either way.
I think it was because of the opening of the episode when Clark wakes up and he takes that Band-Aid out of his
And they
like
have red
arm,
eyes,
and
just
then
like the
everyone in the
zombies.
city, it feels like a graveyard. Because I've seen the shot in the first 28 days later with Cillian Murphy walking around stranded and everybody knows it's gone, and it did the same thing for the pilot episode of The Walking Dead with Rick Grimes. If you watch the pilot at the beginning, it does similar to 28 days later reference. So yeah, that's why like I kind of had to agree with Jake a little bit more that this is a little bit more 28 days later, but with a little bit of a sprinkle of Resident Evil mix into it.
And also the zombies have red eyes, just like in
Oh yeah,
28.
because according to Emil Hamilton, that the DNA that was taken that unleashed a virus was from Davis Bloom, which is the Doomsday DNA. It does have that big rabid look design in the red eyes that was pretty much Doomsday like. If you really think about it, it makes sense. It kind of felt like a little bit more of the sequel to that season 4 episode with the whole nightmare when it becomes an epidemic. The difference is, comparing to that episode, it had stakes and you really felt danger. This one felt like it kind of got resolved so quickly, and it was just like another any day Tuesday. Even though they're unleashing a global virus that can literally wipe out everyone.
Oh yeah.
And I just
Oh.
wasn't really feeling the stakes and the tensions with that episode.
Do you know why this episode was released this early? It was because of Halloween. Because they were trying like it's the Halloween episode of the season.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, it's a
Oh yeah, you're
28
right. It
days.
did come out around the time of the Halloween
Yeah, because
spooky
Smallville
season.
premiered like in September, and so they were like, all right, we gotta have like our Halloween episode, which is zombies. We did vampires, now we're doing zombies, which I'm like, what?
Well, this is well,
vampire,
at least the zombies were a little bit better than the stupid vampire
yeah,
episode.
witches, vampires, now zombies. Just like
The vampire one was the weakest fucking Halloween spooky stuff at the worst.
I agree,
Even
I do
even
agree.
Al Goff and Miles Miller, who
they
was the
apologized
showrunner,
later.
they
That was
fucking
dumb.
trash on that on that episode. They're like, what the hell were we thinking? I was like, what just happened?
They did say that they were trying to do like balance everything, and they were just so busy and everything that they didn't read and approve. They said they admitted that we didn't approve every script. Like we just kind of like trusted the writers and said, all right, this works.
go do it. We
We
trust
just
you.
trusted the writers. We said we should have done our job better, but yeah,
The problem is they trusted the writers way too much.
and the writers are kind of like would take the advantage of them and just be like, well, guess
Even
what?
even Rosenbaum
sorority
and fucking Kristen Kruk and Tom Welling, that they were on that episode talking about that episode, how awful it was. They completely trashed that episode of that first episode.
Let me ask you guys this. Does Smallville ever do a werewolf episode?
No,
No, I'll save the
they do
suspense.
do a
No.
Children of the Corn episode.
Oh, they do. Which it was.
They do Children of the Corn though, and I'm like, what the
There's a
fuck is
reference.
up with this?
You're
There was
we. I
it
think we
literally.
can.
You're
I
just
think we kind of have to agree with that episode was really terrible.
Talk about a missed opportunity.
We will get to that Children of the Corn of a House on the
we'll
Prairie
get to this. It's
episode.
coming.
It was
You're
like the
just
Children of the Corn,
wow.
and it was like the first half was like more of a House of the Prairie episode, and then later it became Children of the fucking Corn.
You're just like, why are we watching Children of the Corn?
It's like, what the hell is
Children of the
happening?
Corn, we're like, we got this. We got this.
Talk about a missed opportunity slash dodged bullet.
But yeah, I will say things I did like about this episode. I like Clark is sneaking away to save the day to get coffee and everything. I thought that was really cool. Like how he's like kept. The only thing is though, Lois is an idiot because she should have realized how long it took him to get the coffee and come back. So you're Superman because there is no way you could have got coffee in 3 seconds from a coffee place.
I'm surprised she didn't put two and two together. That was kind of the not make any logical sense. Like, how the hell did you make coffee so quickly? There's no way she would have put two and two together.
Also, there's no way Oliver would be banging a cop, especially like literally. He literally was banging
You banged a cop. What did you do? Bribe the cop or something?
like here, hey, I got my. He says just like pulls his dick out.
I
Hey,
legit thought that
you
was
getting a
like
ticket out or what?
I legit thought that was like a stripper, like sexy cop or something to that
No,
effect.
that was the same cop that pulled him over earlier in that episode when he was like riding off in his crotch rocket. That was the cop.
For a second, I thought like, okay, he ran the police
There's
car.
no
to
way that
chase
could
him
be a
around.
cop in real life. That like she was way too attractive to be a cop like
I mean,
that.
well, to be fair, I mean, I kind of
She
agree.
dresses like Ryan said that he thought she was a stripper, and she does look like a stripper and dressed as a cop.
What if the cop was male? Like, would he just be like, well, Oliver plays both fields, guys? He goes, come on. Oliver just it's like,
How did you feel about Oliver going down the bandwagon and just drinking himself and just being a crybaby because of what happened with Jimmy? I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean,
he
I
burns
want to
his
see
suit at the
where
end.
I want to see where it goes, but I thought and we'll get to it when we talk about our last episode this week, Echo. Like we'll talk about that, but this kind of like Oliver's a drunk kind of thing. I don't want to write it off right away. I want to see what happens, but right now I'm not a huge fan.
Matt, is roulette next week?
Hmm? Yeah, it is.
Okay, because I was about to say,
Because that'll be the first episode that we'll cover. Then
I
they
was about
have
to say, I thought roulette was going to be the next episode. I was like,
no. It will be for next week.
because I was like, yeah, oh well, that whole thing you're talking about will be all those questions will be answered next week in roulette. Roulette is all about Oliver.
Yeah, I think that would be a total centric episode.
The whole episode is about
even though
Oliver.
at first I was like, "Oh, you're really are taking it like off the bandwagon because of what happened with Jimmy." I think there was always a lot more to than that.
I will say, I will say though, you know, you know, at least like, you know, I love the zombies attacking the Luther Mansion. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was awesome.
First of all,
And I also like
one thing I wanted that thing bothered me because when Oliver finds out that he thinks that Tess is assuming that Tess was the one spying on him, even though that we know that was Chloe because she was like keeping tabs on with the League, but he went to go to the fucking like Luther Court building and he shows up with a shotgun. Where the hell did he get the shotgun from?
It's
How
in
did he
my
know that
notes.
there would be zombies there? Where did he get it?
I put that in my notes. I said, did Oliver go get a shotgun to go kill Tess, or did he see zombies and then come
Where
back?
the hell did he find a shotgun?
I'm like, also, you know, if Oliver just went to go come back and get a shotgun, Oliver's really stupid for coming back after he sees zombies. But like, oh shit, there's zombies. I'll be right back. All right, let's go, motherfuckers. Oh, bang. I was like, you know, which I think what happened was there was a cop and had a shotgun, and he saw the cop, and the zombie cop was attacking him. And I think he grabbed the shotgun from the cop and shot the cop, and you know.
I mean, we don't know.
Because you see that. Remember, he had you see the zombie that flies through the window is a cop.
Oh no, that wasn't. I don't think was it a cop.
Yeah,
I don't
it was a
remember. I thought it was just one of the employees of the Daily
No, it
Planet.
had a uniform on.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I'll probably.
And then he goes, he cranks a shotgun up and says, "I come down here to see Mercy," and the whole place goes Resident Evil.
Yeah, he literally title dropped that
Resident
shit. That was literally Resident Evil.
which I thought that was so funny. You know, you know, and also I thought, which also that made me laugh was whenever like uh whenever like the lady says, "This is okay. This is in my notes. I had to put this." I agree with Oliver. No one would want one is on YouTube looking at Pam Anderson's butt. That's what Pornhub is for.
Well, Pornhub wasn't. I don't even think Pornhub was a thing at the time. But yeah, you're. That's true.
I
I
was
mean, I
like,
remember
really?
Chloe distinctly bringing up Facebook in one episode, and that was like, oh, are we at that point where that's like officially a thing? Holy crap.
Like I was just like watching this going like there's like Pam Anderson's butt on YouTube and I was like, it's really weird that Pam Anderson might win an Oscar this year. That's weird, like, especially like,
Well, yeah.
when you're thinking about Smallville, like you're like, oh yeah, Pam Anderson, remember her? Or like, now you're like, Pam Anderson might be Academy Award winner, Pam Anderson.
That's yeah. She was just a famous celebrity, model celebrity, and now she's potentially becoming an Academy Award nominee actress.
I am still saying Pauly Shore still has a chance to win an Oscar. Pauly Shore still has a chance. I'm just saying. I
What
mean,
movie? What movie was it from that they acted in? Pauly Shore.
I'm saying, like I said, I'm saying, I'm just saying in general because I'm like, if they said we're giving out Oscars still, I mean, Pauly Shore still has a comeback chance. I'm just saying, if he ever
Oh,
gets that,
I was about to say. I was like, wait, what? I don't know.
if he ever gets that, what's that movie that he wants to make, the Richard Simmons movie? If he ever gets to make that, I guarantee he'll win an Oscar for that because who wouldn't want to watch that? I mean, I saw like that. Remember that he shot a teaser for that? Like he shot like a little short spec film for it, so that way to get funding for it. And people liked it. A lot of people liked it, but people are like, it's Pauly Shore though. That's why they didn't want to pay for it. And also, it was not really that. It was mostly because Richard Simmons' estate disowned the film, saying that he does not condone this movie, and that's mainly why they said no. They really didn't get funding. Which I honestly felt bad because Pauly Shore, I mean, he was really good in that like little short film. I'm like, he's awesome. I thought it was great. I'm like, you don't think I saw Richard Simmons. I didn't see Pauly Shore. Which what would have been great though? Wouldn't it have been great though in this if Pauly Shore showed up in this episode?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, the whole place is like that movie Son-in-Law. Paul, terrible. I don't
Gotta
know,
love
but
Biodome.
you know what? It's sad. I've seen that movie more than I have seen the Whiplash.
You need to correct that right away.
I've
Yeah.
seen. I literally could take. I could
I'm
almost
gonna
quote that
pretend you didn't
movie.
say that.
Like Iron Man, Iron Man. He said, That's Black Sabbath that does Iron Man. You're singing Spider Man. That's actually a line from Biodome where they're singing Iron Man, Iron Man. He goes, no, you're thinking of Spider Man theme. Black Sabbath. I'm sorry. Now I'm
Yeah,
not. I said
I did look
Biodome.
at the footage of Oliver shooting the cop. So yeah, it was a cop, but it was a different cop. What was the cop doing in the building?
He was literally
No.
protecting the papers. He was protecting.
A
He was
cop was
protecting the
protecting the
press.
paper. Like what
He was
that's
protecting the
what
press.
security guards are for.
He was protecting the paper.
Well, the
But
level of
yeah, I
security in this TV show, like, is not great. We have established this.
also, what the funny part is? The funny part is Tessa's security, the guy that is the idiot, her head of security is an idiot, okay? This guy is literally the worst security head of security ever. I laughed when he died. I laughed so hard. I'm like, finally, Tess, this guy was an idiot. Because this guy literally was like, oh, Lex hired this guy to kidnap Lana. And then she escapes. Literally, Tess is like, hey, where's my hey? She's like, hey, where
Yeah, but didn't it? Yeah, but
what
didn't
happened?
one? Yeah, but didn't the same actor who played the security guard that kidnapped Lana was dead? Even Tess said that they were dead, and he brought in new men or
Might have been his
something.
twin brother. Twin.
Might be just hey, he's just playing the same type of character of securody guard, a
Didn't you die
generic.
last week? Nope. It's like that scene
Like, did you
comparison. Nope.
die? I thought this was a
No.
sequel.
No. Oh, there's someone in Zod's group that dies that later it plays a different role.
Yeah, I know.
You'll-
I brought that up. I brought that up. What's his face? Fuck, I can't even remember his name. But yeah, he was playing one of the Lex's hired men to sabotage that whole from the whole election and that Lexus
no, there's
episode.
another guy. There's another guy. Another guy.
Oh, Maybe, yeah, maybe the different
Another guy that you see him in the finale of Smallville of the season 9, and then you also see him in this upcoming episode. You're like, oh, I did not never realize that until so. Even it says on the Smallville Wikipedia, this guy played this character, famous Superman villain, and then he also plays just a random Kryptonian in this episode. Just like, I'm like, wow.
Was it the doctor, the one who was responsible for unleashing this
No,
whole
no,
virus?
it's
Or are you talking
you'll
about
I think
him?
it's in the next episode. You'll figure it out. It's the one. Remember when Tess is having dinner at that dinner party?
Maybe you're probably right. I just don't remember.
But look, but yeah, this episode though, let's talk about. I do like Oliver going to, basically going Alice from Resident Evil on the zombies, where she's going bam, 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 And I also like the Daily Planet attack. That was really great. And Clark holding zombie Lois in the rain, and I thought that was really great. Oliver burning his suit really almost reminded me of in Spider-Man 2 of Spider-Man throwing his suit in the trash. It's like burning his his like I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to be the Green Arrow. I'm done being the Green Arrow. I thought that was really poetic. I also liked Zod killing his man at the end.
I
I
uh,
thought
I
that was really
can't wait
good.
to see how long that lasts. 2 episodes. But let's
Oh, but one thing at the end of the episode with Zod, when he saw the photo in the field that we brought up earlier in the episode, he name dropped who it is. He literally revealed it. I don't know if you remember that episode.
Did he really name drop
Yeah,
him?
he name dropped it because he was talking about his men, one of his men who was the one responsible for unleashing the virus, and he was trying to draw someone out of hiding because he saw that the blur has been showing up in everywhere in Metropolis, and he assumes that the one person that came with them in the orb, and he showed a photo and he name dropped it.
Oh, you can say it now, but since the episode
Yeah, he said
significant.
Jarrell. He thinks that it's Jarrell
He thinks Jarrell came in the world.
with powers. They assume that he
They
has
think
the only
Jarrell's
one who has
the
the
they
powers and
think
the rest of the
Jarrell's the
Kandorians
blur.
doesn't.
They think Jarrell's the
Yeah.
blur.
That's what they assumed. That's what they're assuming that was him with powers because they don't know Kal-El exists. They have no knowledge of
Yeah, because
Jarrell
remember
has
this
a
is Major
son.
Zod. This isn't General
Yeah,
Zod.
because this is the younger version of Zod before we knew
He
him
doesn't
as
know that
General
Jarrell
Zod.
had
So
he doesn't know about Krypton blowing up.
because
He doesn't know that.
their DNA was taken from the orb according to Fiora in that first episode that it was during the Battle of Kandor. They were just soldiers. So yeah, this was before the destruction of Krypton.
I like well one of the thing I was gonna say one of the thing I would say I think this would have like a month. I think this would no way this would be contained in a Tuesday. I agree with Matt. This would take like a month to control under contamination because we've seen how COVID happened. We know it ain't gonna, in a day you can't cure this shit.
Yeah, no, they
Also,
came up. Yeah, it got resolved so quickly because it took a day to come up with an antidote, and they just
we have
released the whole DNA of the antidote in the atmosphere, and suddenly magic, presto, they're all cured. What?
we have we have the cure. Fire up to Jet.
This reminded me,
also,
dude. This reminded me of the Amazing Spider-Man 1 when like made the antidote for the lizard. They were unleashing a whole lizard at the whole city, and they just pushed that
I'm like,
fucking
have
thing,
you been
the
in New York
device in the
City?
sky, and just using it in the atmosphere. That
Have
they
you been
literally,
in
it
New
felt
York
like they
City?
literally took notes from Smallville.
Have you been in New York City? You would not get that all the way through the city. You're getting like maybe
No.
15 like blocks, and that's
No way in
it.
hell that would
Been
work.
there, been there 3 times. Collins is 100% correct. But if nothing else,
They forgot about the
And
pentagram.
the anecdote from that episode from season 4, I'm sorry, I want to jump in and real quick. Comparing to that, they even mentioned that it takes them a long time to get that thing heated up, and Clark had to use his heat vision to speed up the process. And that's why it made more sense than just say, "Oh yeah, we got his DNA, we have
Again,
the
the writers
antidote."
in this
Boom.
episode are not really like
This felt
the
rushed.
smartest
It
writers
just
in the
felt like
room.
I just wasn't really feeling the stakes in this episode. It felt
I
like,
w-
yeah, it's just like every other Tuesday.
and also they forget continuity because Tess runs into her office, and I'm like, doesn't she have a panic room? Can't she just push the button with the panic room?
Yeah,
Like
she has a panic room in her own
and she's
office.
just sitting there, and all the time she turns around, and I'm just like, she runs to her phone. I'm like, wouldn't you run to put the panic room? I mean, it just made no sense to me.
I did like
Like,
the scene in the elevator when Oliver's looking himself in the mirror and how disgusted, and he didn't like how what he recognized, and I think that was a really good scene. That was the only one of the best parts about that episode.
I did like also. I liked. I thought. Well, this is stupid too, but like when he grabs Emil Hamilton and runs him through to the office, he's just like, huh, huh. And I'm
How are
like,
you
he'll
not
be
throwing?
throwing
How are you
up.
not
He'll be,
throwing up? How are you not throwing up? How are you not doing that Diggle style that every
You
time
should
that
have like
Diggle
motion
gets taken,
sickness.
remember every time that Diggle gets taken in super speed by Barry, he always throws up
Agree.
every time, every goddamn time.
But if I had to give this a rating, I'm gonna give this like a 7 out of 10.
All right, Matt, what about you?
I'm gonna give it a 6.5. I thought it was an okay episode. I didn't think it was as strong as what I compared from season 4. I just feel like, yeah, just like every other day, it just gets resolved. There's no real stakes to this episode, to be honest with you. I felt like it kind of felt a little bit useless.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 6. This is the weakest of the three. It's not bad by any means, but I wasn't too crazy about it. But
There's some good stuff in this episode. They're not all bad. It's just like, why did we had to go in
I
that
mean, it's better than the
direction?
vampire episode. I will say it's better than the
It is
vampire.
better than the vampire episode, I will
What would you have
admit.
thought if Phelan
I
would have
mean,
come back and he was the zombie king? Like,
oh dear God, like stop it, stop it, stop it.
If he came back as a zombie, that would be the he'd
I'm
probably
a
just say, fuck
zombie now,
it's like,
Clark.
I'm a zombie with all Nick Cage on him.
Well, we have one more episode left, and we
would you?
see.
Ryan would be like, "Fuck this show." Ryan
It's
would
like, fuck this show, I'm
have been
done.
like, just like,
I would have been like Al
we need.
Pacino from Jack and Jill. Burn this, every copy. But
I
let's
honestly just found out Jack and Jill was a profitable movie.
What?
and
Don't
Yes,
lo the heavens fell. But this is season 9,
it was
episode.
Adam Sandler's probably last successful movie at Sony, is what apparently it says. Like,
And then he
wow.
became Netflix's problem. But this is season 9, episode 4, called Echo.
Well, no one has the right to take the law into their own hands. Not even the Blur.
Toyman's back.
Don't try to run, or you will die.
Smallville. All new episode on its new night. Next Friday at 8/7 Central.
After an accident, Clark is able to read Lois's mind, then he asks her out. Meanwhile, a washed-up Oliver finds himself in danger. So that's very vague, but this episode is the return of Winslow Shot, which is, I
Scott.
mean, dang it, I did it again. But it's Scott Shot.
It's not. Wait, I thought it was Winslow Shot.
It's Winslow Scott.
No, it's not Scott. No, it's Winslow Shot, not Scott.
Is it Winslow? Oh, I'm gonna Google Toy Man's name. All right, hold on.
Like,
Boy,
damn
man.
the
Like, there's no
damn
way
the
that it
show
sounds Scott.
for
Winslow Shot.
damn the show for giving this man an incomprehensible name. But the Toy Man is
Just call him Toy Man. The Return of Toy Man. There you go.
the
Just go
Toy
with
Man
Toy
is
Man.
back, and he is up to no good. And
His name is Winslow Percival Shot. So you're right. You're right. You're right.
See, that's why the three of us, if one of us knows who corrects one another, that's why we're here.
So
Winslow
this is a
What's his
very
name? Should have been. I
Oliver.
thought it was Winslow.
This is an Oliver heavy episode, and like I said, like I was not a huge fan of the drunk Oliver, remorseful Oliver thing, but I will not lie, I was kind of feeling something, like especially at the point where he's like giving the speech and like he's being fed the lines and like especially at the end where he's on like a pressure pad and if he steps off like it'll explode, but even though it's
Boom.
really not. But but Clark is like,
Toy
you
Man
know,
Winslow was literally bluffing and trying to
yeah,
threaten his own life. Yeah, basically, just to get him to confess for the murder of Lex Luthor.
there was a nice
I, you
little
know,
bit of plant and payoff from earlier seasons that I did appreciate.
the opening was awesome. How like there was all these people were there afraid, and there was someone in a mask. I thought it was a puppet at first that was there.
Yeah,
I
we
thought it
all
was
thought
like,
it was. We all thought it was a puppet.
well, it would have been cooler if it was a puppet. It would have been way
That
cooler.
would, dude. That the hostages. Like, I like how Clark does the little save and just to dismantle the bomb, and just suddenly his superhero went on the front and then just triggers a telepath. Now he has a telepath. Apparently, Jarrell gave him a telepath temporarily because the only reason he did it because he wants to help him have better of an understanding of how humans are and having that whole human intuition so that it will make him a better hero and better of an understanding. I like that aspect of it, but it kind of felt like it was a little bit of a side plot, especially when he's trying to get with Lois in that episode. The main story kind of felt more of an Oliver centric. That they should have leaned towards more of that story than having that little side plot with this old him having a telepath ability.
This whole episode Ryan brought up. It's basically phone booth.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I didn't think about that until we were talking about this off camera. I didn't think about that until when you brought a phone booth, and I remember that they definitely took a lot of influence from phone booth movie with Colin Farrell.
Yeah. Which is a good movie. I mean, I will
It's
say
so
that's
good.
me.
If any of you have not watched Phone Booth, you have to watch it. It's a great fucking movie, dude.
I mean,
It's been a
honestly,
minute
I
for
think
me,
that's
but
a
I
better
do.
Joel Schumacher movie. I think it's just my
Oh yeah,
second
it's one
favorite.
of Joel Schumacher's best work. I almost forgot that was him who directed it because he did direct the original Lost Boys movie in which Kiefer Sutherland was worked with him the second time. And if any of you out there have not seen Phone Booth, I won't reveal what Kiefer Sutherland plays in the movie. I'm not going to reveal it.
No, but
Huh.
Phone Booth is a must watch. That is for certain.
Oh, what do you guys think of so I liked the Toy Man returning and everything, and Oliver will commit suicide to die for his sins.
Oh
You know what
yeah.
I thought was really great though? Oliver in Mexico. Whenever it reminded me of that one Adam Sandler movie and Damian Wayne's the one. What was the movie called?
Oh,
Bulletproof.
Bulletproof. It was Bulletproof.
Oh yeah.
It
That felt
reminded
like a Bulletproof, another blockbuster haul. Bulletproof.
Where especially, and then Tess shows up dressed like Laura Croft from Tomb
I
Raider.
know. It's like, what the hell is with the outfit? Why are you dressing up as Laura Croft from Tomb Raider?
For some reason, she dressed like Laura Croft. I'm like, why? You
It's
know.
so fucking random.
Also, what if Oliver would have stayed in Mexico? What was it? What was going to happen then? The toy band's like, damn it, that was gonna be my
That was
best.
I'm like Tony Stark, not a great plan.
Yeah. Which, I thought was really, I thought it was a really, I thought, him coming back and then doing that speech and everything was great, especially Toy Man. I thought the only thing I thought was really stupid was a robot version of Toy Man. I thought that was dumb.
Yeah, he looks so more realistic, and apparently that was a cyborg drone doing the whole
And they
thing.
find the real Toy Man later, and I'm like, it's so stupid.
That was so dumb. Like, why?
Why even have him in?
I thought
The guy's
dude,
supposed
when
to
the
be
moment
young.
that Clark came confronting Toy Man, like near the whatever, he just uses heat vision, and I was like, "Are you literally incinerating his face off? Like, what the hell is happening?" Like,
Turned out he was
like, did you
suicidal.
literally try to incinerate him?
Imagine if that was actually him. He's like,
Just imagine if he
turns
was
out he
real.
was
It's like,
suicidal.
dude, Clark, you're going far off the deep end. Like, what the hell? Yeah, when he was on the
He's like, he
balcony.
took a
Yeah,
leap
he
and
was
it
on the
failed.
balcony with them confronting them. And I for a moment, well, he was real Toy Man until he fucking incinerated him with his heat vision. I thought for a moment he was really gonna murder him. Like, are you literally murder him? Wow, you were
I do
really
love when he
dark.
saw Lex in the mirror, though.
Oh yeah, when he
I
was looking
love
at the
that.
reflection in the reflection at the door, and he sees
And
Lex
you see the
Luthor.
body double Lex Luthor in the mirror. The body double.
Yeah, the
Just
body double. It almost felt like they
wouldn't
kind
it make more
why
sense
does it feel
to
like
have just
what
a
does it feel
picture of
like that they
Michael
used
Rosenbaum in the mirror?
why does it feel like that they photoshopped Michael Rosenbaum half the shadow of the face, or maybe they just used body
No,
double?
no, they used the body double just because you like the eye right here. That's not Michael
Yeah,
Rosenbaum's face.
yeah.
I think what it was. I think I went. This is my theory. I don't know if this is true or not. I think they were probably going to use Michael Rosenbaum, a picture like just a CGI image of him,
Yeah, they were going to use a
But I think
CGI
they
just
probably would have
like
said.
paste on the face. That's what I thought at
But then I
first.
think they probably were gonna. I think they would have said you'd had to pay
Oh
him
yeah,
just
they
for
couldn't
being in
do it.
this.
They could not do
For
it.
his, you could show a picture of him, but you don't think for him to be in a physical appearance. That's
But
not a
you can't
picture.
show the physical appearance, otherwise you're going to have to pay him when he's not
So I think
working.
that's why they decided. You know what? Let's just do that instead because they didn't want to have like Michael Rosenbaum's not. Let's and I'm sure Michael Rosenbaum was like, I'm doing other stuff.
But also, it got very dark with Oliver. Like he literally tried to kill himself.
I
He said,
legit
I thought it was so dark.
My jaw dropped at the end where he's like saw the bald head and I'm like, oh, and I know like we just discussed like they'd have to pay him to actually be there, so I know he wasn't there, but I for like a hot second were like, what really? And then like he just throws the drink at the window. I thought that was just quality stuff right there.
I mean, he killed Lex, and so he's like,
Yeah, he's not
still
only
suffering.
feeling guilty of the death of Jimmy, but he's also
He's a
feeling
murderer.
guilty for
It says
murdering
he's a
him
murderer.
because he feels like he's disappointed Clark because he's the moral high ground guy that would take any killing no matter what. And when he just straight up like confronting his own guilt, like it just really took a toll on him. Like I love that part of that episode. that he doesn't feel like he's worthy enough to be the Green Arrow anymore.
Which I will say, I do like two things about. I will say, I do like that Tess gives Toyman Project Metallo to look at, and then
Yeah.
and then threatening his life, and then she shoots him in his leg and says, "If you ever go after Oliver Queen again, I will be the one. You'll disappear." And so she's like, he says, "Here." She shoots him first and threatens him and says, "You ever go after Oliver again, I'm gonna fucking kill you."
So we
And then
see the Metallo heart device.
and then she
So
gives him a Metallo
one question:
heart and says,
you still
"Project Metallo."
do you still believe that John Corman is going to return at some point? Because they don't just use that for no reason.
No, he's coming back. He's coming back.
As soon as I saw they gave him the heart, even when I was watching it, I'm like, "Oh, he's coming back." Why
Like
would you give him
my gut feeling, like yeah,
Project
he has to
Metallo?
come back at some point because they would not just foreshadow this whole thing and then never
Project and
be
call it
brought up
Project
ever again.
Metallo, like
Yeah, Project Metallo.
which also I don't that I don't like about this episode is Clark's mind reading powers. Like, and also Clark should know that Clark's kind of a dick with some of these powers. Like,
He literally took advantage of
also
Lois
Lois commits
to
Grand
get this
Theft Auto in
story.
this episode.
Yeah, she just fucking just went all Grand Theft Auto on that fucking monster truck rally.
I'm like, what?
And she's dressing up as a Daisy Duke for to go off in a monster truck rally.
Why isn't all these SWAT like there should be cops chasing after her? Literally, like they should literally have like she should pull up and
No,
like
no cops chase after her.
the
Nobody.
cops should pull up and go, get out the fucking car, get out the fuck.
She just
And
straight
she's
up
like,
jacked the fucking monster truck.
I just thought that was a little outlandish. Also, Clark should know better than to give Lois a half-eaten donut by another dude.
I know that's kind of weird. Like, ugh. Like you don't know
Like
where that
literally,
mouth. You
Clark
don't know
knows
where that dude's mouth has been.
that guy could have herpes.
He might. You never know.
Or what's that one? What's the kissing disease called? Mono? Yeah, she could have that guy could have mono.
Mononucleosis.
I'm just saying, like, Clark should know better. And also Clark was kind of a dick for blowing her off. I just want to say.
Yeah, that was a dick movie. Like you literally took advantage of her and gaslight her. Like, was it really just to trick her into to going out with you, only to get the story in head and blow her off? I liked
That's
how Chloe called him out on his shit.
that's the language of this entire show, Matthew.
Okay.
Yeah, the land of gaslighters.
So, already you got a rating?
Unless you had something.
No, I'm good.
All right. Well,
Okay,
Collins 1 to 10.
I'm gonna give it like uh, uh probably a 7 as well. 7 out of 10.
All right, Matt. What about you?
I like this episode a little bit more than the rabbit episode. I'm gonna be with Jake on this. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Oh, we are in agreement. I'm saying 7 as well. The Oliver stuff I thought was great. I'm still not a fan of him being like the suicidal drunk, but I'm gonna see where it plays out. But this in a bubble, I really liked. And I'm not gonna lie, the toy man's kind of growing on me. Like, so I hope they do something more with him because they leave it off at a good place. So knock on wood, they bring him back and they make him useful again.
Yeah, because the next episode that we'll cover next week, that roulette episode, that will definitely be heavily more on Oliver episode.
Well, I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of these episodes? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. It's a privilege to do this show with these guys every single week. Collins, where can the people find you?
3D movie cinema. I have a review coming up for Mission Impossible. Well, by the time I say Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 will drop. And yeah, and so yeah, and by the time this airs, yeah, we will that coming Friday we will be doing Batman Terry for Batman Forever. So.
Okay, and Matt, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on my YouTube at MattWyan92. I got a couple of videos coming out. I have the late 2024 roundup, a couple of movies I have been reviewing, trying to catch up on some of the late 2024 movies, A Real Pain and Heretic. Then I got another video, my top 10 worst films of 2024. And this week, as we're recording right now, I will be seeing Wolfman. By the time this video airs on Tuesday, my video will already be up for my review of the film. So keep an eye open for that.
Right, well, all their links will be in the description. Go give them a subscribe. As far as this channel goes, well, it's always popping off. It's 2025. We're going big this year here on this channel. So For Matt Wyatt, for Jacob Collins, my name is Ryan Cam. For Truth, for Justice, for the American Way, always hold on to Smallville. We will see you all next week. Y'all take care.
Sharpton for president, y'all. We're out.
There you go. I fucking knew that was coming.
With the running mate being Jesse Jackson.